however, come to offer my sincere condolences. My dear Colonel Bouvard, I don't think you should have opened that car door by yourself.
Over the course of more than 20 films and 5 leading men, the James Bond series has defined the quintessential glamorized spy film. Exceedingly suave and debonair, Agent 007 never fails to stop the bad guy while encountering beautiful and seductive women along the way. Sean Connery was the first and perhaps the most popular Bond, beginning with the 1962 Dr. No and continuing through 1967 You Only Live Twice, at which point Connery took a break from the franchise, making way for George Lazenby's one-film stunt in 1969 On Her Majesty's Secret Service. Connery returned for 1971's Diamonds Are Forever. 2 years later, Roger Moore made his debut as Bond with the 1973 Live and Let Die. The role would belong to Moore exclusively for 4 more films. In 1993, 2 different Bond films were released, Octopussy with Moore and Never Say Never Again, a remake of Thunderball that featured Connery back in the role of Agent 007. Moore played Bond one more time in 1985 with A View to Kill. Next up, we had Timothy Dalton, who took over for 2 films. He did the 1987 The Living Daylights and 1989's License to Kill. The series took a 6-year hiatus before returning in 1995 with GoldenEye, which starred Pierce Brosnan. Then in 2006, actor Daniel Craig, who brought a gruff finesse to the role with the massive international hit Casino Royale, reprised the role in 2009 with Quantum of Solace, and then finally in 2012 with the last Bond film, Skyfall. Our critical analysis will focus on masculinity exemplified by Bond, the femininity exemplified by the Bond girls and supporting female characters, the heterocentrism, race, gender, and the media, and how it all is portrayed throughout the Bond series.
I find her fascinating, but she needs a psychiatrist, not me.
What she needs is a man to dominate her, to make love to her enough to make her love him.
Must use a lot of lemons.
Sir Hilary, please come to meet our patients. Ladies, this is Sir Hilary Bray, Baronet.
How do you do?
He's a famous genealogist.
You will have a drink, yes?
Please,
Thank
come
you.
and sit down.
How do you do? Thank you.
On Her Majesty's Secret Service, 007. Quickly, I want to discuss a couple of concepts and representations that are displayed throughout this particular movie. First is that it has to do with the historical context in which this movie was produced. This movie was produced in 1969. In that time frame, we were dealing with issues of Vietnam War, the assassination of Martin Luther King and Robert Kennedy. The title in itself gives the impression of unity, nationalism, and pride in country. And this is a stark, I believe, a stark contrast as to what was going on at the time. Another concept is that of the, what I call the hegemonic male. Part of James Bond DNA, being aggressive, everything a man's supposed to be, such as highly sexual, he's white. This, once again, this oozes with the hegemonic male. And finally, I think it's very interesting, in which it's called the ritualization of subordination, holding his head high, erect, looking forward, and which is displayed by Kaufman. And then finally, which are called the male gaze. I want to end with that because in the movie, we have James Bond surrounded by several women, and the camera focuses on one woman that showing her cleavage. Male gaze, which is the male projecting fantasy on passive women. I'm telling you, there's a lot here. My other members of the group will present more in their movies.
Don't move.
car's great.
You're bloody lucky to be alive.
It's not luck. It's experience.
A few inches higher, it'd have been your head.
Look, I just saved your life back there. If it wasn't for me, your ass would have been nailed to the wall.
You saved my life.
Yes.
It's a tough business, you picked, Miss Bouvier. Leave it to the professionals.
Look, pal, I was an army pilot. I have flown to the toughest hellholes in South America, and I will not have you lecture me about professionalism. Out of gas. I haven't heard that one in a long time.
Well, they must have hit the fuel line. Look, I'm gonna need your help. I want a complete rundown on Sanchez's operation. And I'll need a flight to Isthmus City, private. No one must know I've left.
What do you want to go there for?
I'll pay you very well.
You're going after Sanchez, aren't you?
Will you help me?
How many men have you got?
Just you and me.
Are you crazy? Sanchez has an entire army protecting him down there.
Just fly me in and leave. 50,000.
It's not that easy. False flight plans, payoffs at Isthmus City Airport. I can't do a job like that for less than 100.
60.
90.
70.
80.
75.
You pay the fuel?
You get the plane. Why don't you wait until you're asked?
Well, why don't you ask me?
License to Kill, starring Timothy Dalton, is situated in the fictional city of Isthmus in Argentina. The film was produced in 1989, a time mired in political strife. 1989 saw the communist government of East Germany resign on November 7th, while the Berlin Wall was torn down 2 days later in the execution of Romanian dictator Nicolae Ceausescu, after the Romanian government was overthrown. The film features a fictional president, Hector Lopez, who seems to be a clear foil to Fidel Castro, thanks to his level of machismo and domineering attitude when around women. In addition to politics, money serves as a large overarching theme throughout the film, as after all, the 80s were a time of excess and wealth. This is typified by the constant reminder of money and the greed that it inspires. Bond, in contrast, stands for good, as he seems to lack any real desire for money. He can be seen throwing away thousands of dollars away at a time off of an airplane or into a shark-infested pool. In that way, as well as many other ways, Bond stands for good. He is against greed and the objectification as well as any devotion to money, unlike the film's villains.
The James Bond character I'm discussing is Pierce Brosnan, who played in several James Bond films from 1985 to 2002. The specific film I'm elaborating on is Die Another Day, that was broadcasted in 2002. Some things I noticed about Bronson over the years of his 007 films are that he never ages, he never gets seriously injured, he never stops boozing or chasing girls, he never settles for anything less than the best cars, clothes, accommodations, and weapons, and he never takes time off from saving the world from disaster. The scene I chose to talk about is oftentimes referred to as the bikini scene, that first introduces Halle Berry, also known as Jinx, into the movie. The camera is positioned at a slightly lower than on-head position, making the emergence of Jinx out of the sea more dramatic and framing her figure in the center of an almost empty scene. While her face is turned away in a clearly objective manner, she's being watched by her knowledge. The female is subjected to the male gaze by both Bond and the audience. Her revealing clothing is, of course, another factor in the viewer understanding of her status as a sexual object.
magnificent view.
It is, isn't it? Too bad it's lost on everybody else.
Mojito? You should try it.
Jacinta Johnson. Our friends call me Jinx.
My friends call me James Bond.
So what do predators do when the sun goes down?
They feast. Like there's no tomorrow.
The James Bond I chose to analyze is Daniel Craig. I focused on the movie Casino Royale, his first film.
Quite the body count you're stacking up. She was tortured first. As you'd already killed her husband, she must have been the only one left to question. Do you know anything that could compromise you?
No.
Not your name? What you were after?
No.
Dimitri.
This movie works as a prologue to all the other James Bond films. James Bond is the epitome of masculinity, which is defined by his violence and his recklessness. James Bond is reckless because right after he becomes a 00 agent, he is on assignment in Madagascar. There, he blows up an embassy to kill one bomb maker. James Bond is also violent. M, the boss of MI6, says he has an overdeveloped trigger finger. He shoots before he thinks. He fits the tough guys that Jackson Katz talks about. James Bond has the image of masculinity only because of how many people he beats up in the movie. He spends the whole movie beaten up. Jackson Katz says hypermasculinity is defined by violence and emotional repression. While James Bond is still seen as the definition of masculinity, he opens himself up emotionally, which leaves him vulnerable. He learns at the end of the movie that acting on emotions will only end badly. He falls in love with Vesper Lynd, the financial banker for England. Through the movie, she has a lot of power in the movie. Vesper even saves Bond's life in one scene. After Vesper Lynd betrays Bond and dies, he becomes emotionally cut off. He tells them, the job is done, the bitch is dead. This shows that James Bond is emotionally cut off from creating the James Bond that appears in other movies.